54 days to election 2020. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. Celebrating 25 years of media excellence, and this bulletin is live from Joy 99.7 FM here in Kokomlemle. It's a digital address, GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including ATL FM in Cape Coast, Volta Premier in Ho, and Radio Max in Takrade. We are around the world at myjoyonline.com. In this edition, 2 persons dead and others injured after a Kia truck ran into traders in the Wale Wale market. We'll get the latest on the ground and speak live to authorities there. Also, mixed reactions greet government's decision to provide security for MPs, as some experts describe the decision as a self-centered one. We'll hear from the Interior Minister, who is dismissing claims of growing insecurity in the country.
That when you compare the crime figure for this year to last year, you'll find out that there was a heap drop because of the increased deployment.
And we head to the court, where the Supreme Court has ordered the Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejapon contempt case to be transferred to a different judge. We have details as the Deputy Attorney General describes the comments made by the MP, which is the subject of the contempt trial, as scandalous in sports.
The Ghana Football Association wants to beef up quality in national teams by developing juvenile football in the country. I'll bring you more when I join you.
And later, Apple unveils new iPhone 12 mini, iPhone 12 Pro, and iPhone 12 Pro Max. But what's different about this new gadget?
New and improved Pro camera system makes the 12 Pro the photographer's iPhone. The larger iPhone 12 Pro Max takes these innovations even further.
I have more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Thanks for staying with us. Details shortly. Thanks for your company. We start off on a rather sad note, where 2 persons have been confirmed dead and others injured after a loaded Kia truck ran into traders in the Wale Wale market. Eyewitnesses tell Joy News the accident occurred last night on the main hospital road, which is always overcrowded on market days. The driver of the vehicle, which was traveling to Bolga, is believed to have lost control after a brake failure and veered off into the market. Ilyasu Tanko has been following this. He joins us with more. Ilyasu, you've been speaking to eyewitnesses. What exactly have they been telling you as to what happened?
Well, they say this truck is believed to be carrying chaff, and it was traveling to Bolga. The residents or the eyewitnesses believe that the accident was as a result of a faulty brake. They said the driver lost control after what they believe to be a brake failure, and so he ran into the marketers. And as to speak, like you said, 2 persons have been confirmed dead. 1 died instantly, and the other died this morning at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. We understand 3 persons are also at the Tamale Teaching Hospital receiving treatment. Well,
that's Ilyasu Tanko, rather sad situation at the Wale Wale market. We're hoping to get the MC for the area for some official account also on this, on the condition of the injured as well. But as and when we're able to reach him, we'll do so. Now, mixed reactions have greeted government's decision to provide state-sponsored bodyguards and 24-hour security for members of parliament. The decision, which was announced yesterday by the Interior Minister in Parliament, followed campaign by MPs for enhanced state security after one of them was shot and killed by alleged robbers. 200 police personnel will be deployed as personal bodyguards of members of parliament, but this decision has been described as a self-centered one. Listen to security analyst Colonel Retired Festus Abwaje.
The move, to put it bluntly, is self-centered. This tendency of parliamentarians, to look after their interests first, and sometimes not even address the interests of the rest of society. I mean, we know that the police hasn't got the numbers. We know they haven't got the requisite tools. We know that there are, a certain number that retires every year, a certain number that is forced to resign for disciplinary reasons, a certain number who may resign themselves. Now we get the picture that let's look at the executive side, let's look at the judiciary side, and then let's add the legislature. We're probably talking of a figure between 600 to 1,000.
Now, security analyst Colonel Retired Festus Abwaji. Meanwhile, Executive Director for the Parliamentary Centre in Africa, Dr. Rashid Dramani, says that the decision should not be permanent. He wants government to focus on enhancing the general security for the larger populace.
I think it is time. It is time for this. People have raised a number of objections and so on and so forth. I think that circumstances have given rise to this. And for me, I think on this occasion, I support the position of the government. I support the position of members of parliament.
So what about the larger population then? Because what they experience is what we also experience every day there.
That's a very strong and valid argument. In the countries where, security has been beefed up for members of parliament, I mean, it hasn't been a permanent thing. While the government was doing that, they also had a plan. For instance, in Uganda, they had a 6-month plan to improve overall security in the country. So, I mean, whilst I support this, and I think that it's a good idea, first of all, it shouldn't be a permanent thing. Secondly, I think efforts have to be made to ensure the human security of all of us in the country.
That's the Executive Director for Parliamentary Centre for Africa, Dr. Rashid Draman. Well, you've also been speaking about it. Largely, the general public is divided on the matter.
I think government should look at the general, to beef up the general security of, everybody here in Ghana. Well, I can't say no to, our MPs because we all know the role they play.
We are in an election year, and it kind of always happens that there are attacks on MPs because of seats and things going on. So, and there are other areas where the police is more needed than just to escort MPs to go and campaign and then come back because of this. I think the MPs should be able to hire people who can take care of them.
I think all Ghanaians need some protection measures. And I think the best thing the government can do is to put up a best preventive method, to prevent all this, what you're experiencing now.
It's very, very necessary for them to get a security, each MP or...
Some of your thoughts on the streets of Accra. Meanwhile, the Interior Minister has dismissed claims of insecurity in the country. Now, he says crime figures compared to last year and this year shows a significant drop due to increased presence.
As you know, the street was generally being protected, but, we have an improved system. For instance, we have got the enhanced Operation Calm Life, and what happened was, on September 20th, we worked the impact so far. And what I can tell you is that when you compare the crime figures for this year to last year, you'll find out that there was a heap drop because of the increased deployment. And for instance, a place like Accra up to August had a reduction of armed robberies by 53%. And generally across the place, the country, 10% minimum. But of course, that is improved security, but it's not perfect security. We're working to make sure we do even more.
Interior Minister Ambrose Derry. It's a good time to get into the election headquarters here on the Midday News. An executive director for the Africa Centre for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Draman, says the removal of the former MP by the governing New Patriotic Party does not contravene any law regarding the conduct of parliamentarians. Dr. Dramani's comment comes after the governing NPP officially wrote to Parliament asking Speaker Aaron Michael Quay to declare the former seat in the Ashanti region vacant. NPP MP for the area, Andrew Amankwai-Siama, has filed his nominations to contest this year's elections as an independent candidate. Listen to the NPP General Secretary John Boedu speaking to us on the matter.
So Article 3(9) of our Constitution that says that a member of the party who stands as an independent candidate against the officially elected member of the party automatically forfeits his or her membership of the party. And his attention was drawn to this part of our Constitution. He was invited severally to explain to us. So we are only drawing the attention and notifying the general public that all those who will also follow suit forfeit their membership automatically.
That's the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boedu. Let's bring in Dr. Rashid Draman, the Executive Director for the Africa Centre for Parliamentary Affairs. Thank you very much for your time here on the Midday News. So you're saying that this move by the party is lawful? How so?
Well, that's what the Constitution says. I thought that the General Secretary has quoted the constitutional provision that speaks to this. I don't know whether.
But some have said that, of course. Some have said that due to the timing and all, we know that we can't have a by-election at this point, but couldn't they have just allowed, we know that the law is asking them to do so, but some have said that due to the conventions and all, shouldn't they have allowed him to stay in Parliament or till the elections? Is that not the case, or you disagree with that?
Well, Emefa, I think for me, I disagree with this argument. I mean, a clear message has to be sent. I mean, I have seen a number of countries on this continent where issues such as this one that we are dealing with right now have created so much, confusion in a parliament. I mean, at one point, let me just give you an example. I had a very good friend, a very capable member of parliament who became the speaker of the parliament of Malawi a couple of years ago. And in Malawi, their laws were not too clear in terms of cross-carpeting and so on and so forth. There was so much confusion during his tenure to the extent that there was so much cross-carpeting that the majority became a minority just all of a sudden. And it was because, they were not clear in terms of their laws. And if there is this kind of uncertainty and ambiguity in the constitution of a country, then you get the kind of chaos that you got in Malawi. I mean, in our country, the constitution is clear, and I think that the MPP cannot be faulted for the notice that
for acting lawfully. But should the seats be left empty going forward? Should the seats be left empty? Would the people of Femina not be left unrepresented?
Yes, indeed. I don't think that the seat should be left empty. I mean, some have raised that argument. The timing is left with a few weeks and so on. But for me, that's subject for the constitutional lawyers to interpret. I think everybody needs to be represented, and we shouldn't have any vacuum in our. So, for instance, if let's say, God forbid, something should happen to maybe our speaker, or something should happen to our president maybe a few days before election, we can't say that because we are a few days before election we shouldn't have a president. And I think that we can extend that same argument to a situation of a member of parliament. So I believe yes, there is cost to it. Some will say it's going to be maybe unnecessary cost. But I guess we've chosen the democratic path, and we have to abide by all the provisions. We can't pick and choose. I mean, what is convenient, maybe just simply on the basis of the argument that there is going to be cost to it or some inconvenience.
That's the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Rahman. We're grateful for your time here. Now let's head to the court, because the Supreme Court has, in a unanimous decision, ordered that the Kennedy Japan contempt case is transferred to a different judge. Now the court said Justice Amos Wunta-Wuni is prohibited from hearing the matter any further. Now this was after lawyers for the ANP had accused the judge of demonstrating hostility towards them. Mr. Japan is facing the charge of contempt for comments he made, which Justice Wuni had asked he comes to justify why he should not be sanctioned for it. Court correspondent Joseph Akavle joins us with more on this. Joseph, tell us about the basis for the hostility claim the MP's lawyers had made against the judge.
And so lead counsel for Mr. Japan, Kwame Jan, made reference to some comments the judge had made at the close of one of his proceedings, as saying that if you touch a live wire, it will electrocute you. And so they made the point that amounted to hostility against the MP. They again made reference to a charge sheet that they said had not been signed when it was presented to them. They further argued that the comments that the MP made was referring to a different judge and not this particular judge, yet this judge has taken an interest in the matter and has brought them before him for contempt. Well,
so the AG's office has a response to this. What have they been saying?
Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Deboadami told the court first that he disagrees on the score that the reference was to a different judge, in that there's a single high court and that it being in divisions doesn't mean that when you make comments against any person, you can say that you are referring to another one and not the other judge, and that there's a single high court. He again added that notwithstanding, he admits that the comments that Mr. Japan made were indeed scandalous, and that is something that he thinks the court should avert its mind to. A member of the panel, Justice Yoni Kulendi, asked the Deputy Attorney General a question about where that was used in a charge sheet that was issued by Justice Woni that made a point that Mr. Japan should show why he should not be severely punished. And so Justice Kulendi asked the Deputy AG what he made of the use of the word severely, and the Deputy AG responded that he doesn't see anything wrong with it, but he holds the view that it's a word that, if used, more or less puts the judge in a certain position which doesn't help the administration of justice. And so that was what the AG said in response.
Well, so the Airport Court in the unanimous decision ordered that case to be transferred to a different judge. Tell us more about that decision.
And so the court said that first, it's granted the request to set aside some aspects of the proceedings, but it leaves the charge sheet that adds that Mr. Japan appears before the High Court to explain why he should not be punished for contempt. He said the charge sheet stands, but the proceedings that the judge has supervised so far should be set aside. Again, they make the point that in terms of the details or the reasoning behind it will be made available on October 20. But for now, the position of the court on the matter is that the case be transferred to a different judge. And so an order has been given that the registrar of the High Court takes the necessary steps to ensure that the case is transferred to a different judge to hear the matter.
We respect the court. We are thankful to the court. It's been our case to have this matter resolved, and that has been our posture. And I want us to understand it that way without any misrepresentation.
Would you consider this a vindication of the position you have held against Justice Woni from the very onset?
Exactly so. And if you, at the hearing, you realize that the court itself took note of the emphasis we placed on paragraph 19 of our affidavit in support. And all of you were at the High Court. You were witnesses to proceedings, including matters that I would not want to
whole constituency leadership and party.
But we respect
the regional setup and the national
and we believe that at the end of the day,
that his wife is the backbone of the husband. She knows the constituency very well. And considering the last support.
Apologies for that, but you've been hearing Afenyo Marking interacting with a court correspondent on the court's decision earlier today. We head back into the election headquarters, and this time, for the third time, a wife of a deceased member of parliament will seek to replace her late husband in the parliamentary election. Mrs. Ophelia Hayford is the latest to seek to replace her deceased husband in parliament after the party confirmed her. NPP General Secretary John Boedu disclosed this to Joy News.
I've been to the constituency several times. The whole constituency leadership and party, the regional setup and the national setup, deem it fit that his wife is the backbone of the husband. She knows the constituency very well, and considering the large support that the husband has and the kind of difficulties that the constituency is going through, a lot more of the constituents think that we should let the wife continue.
So this was this done by acclamation? Was there a formal process? Again, going back to the party's constitution.
Just as I told you, there was a massive consensus at the constituency. There was no dissent at all.
Well, that's the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boedu. Well, she will be following in the footsteps of Lindo Klu and Lydia Seram Al-Hassan. Now, there's more in the following news desk report by Kweku Asante Retio.
This will be the third time the wife of a deceased parliamentarian will seek to replace her late husband in the parliamentary election. In March 2016, NDC parliamentary candidate for the Shai Osudoku constituency, William Oklu, died in a car crash a few months after he had defeated the then incumbent NDC MP. The NDC held another primaries to replace the deceased MP, where his widow, Mrs. Linda Akwele Oklu, emerged victorious. after defeating the then Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, Dr. Michael Pesa-White. Mrs. Oklu, a professional teacher, explained that her reason to contest was as a result of her ambition to fulfill the aspirations of her late husband. Mrs. Oklu went on to win the December 2016 parliamentary election. She is currently seeking a second term. Fast forward, in November 2018, Emmanuel Chermanting Ejakon, the NPP MP for the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency, died in the U.S. while seeking medical attention. His wife, Mrs. Lydia Al-Hassan, contested the seat in the famous Ayawaso West Wogon by-election of 2019, where she emerged victorious. The latest to follow in this trend is Mrs. Ophelia Hayford, wife of the Infantsiman MP who was killed recently. According to the MPP General Secretary John Buedu, the party has settled on her to replace her husband, following calls by the constituents for her to represent them. Ophelia Hayford, an assistant superintendent of police, has since Tuesday, October 13th, resigned from the Ghana Police Service to accept this new role.
NASA News Desk reports this is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Mixed reactions greet government decision to provide security for MPs, as some analysts describe the decision as a self-centered one. One of our top stories in this edition. When we return from the break, we have sports, and later Apple unveils new iPhone 12 mini, iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max. But what's different about this new gadget?
The minority political parties well face off. Hassan Ayariga, APC, Ivor Green Street, CPP, David Apasira, PNC, Bridget Tugbenuku, PPP, Kofi Akpalu, LPG. One night, 5 presidential candidates on one stage in a fierce exchange of ideas in the Joy News and Imani Africa Minority Political Parties Debate, 8 to 10:30 p.m. Thursday, 15th October, live from the UPSA campus, only on Joy News. Joy 99.7 FM, Love 99.5 FM, online at myjoyonline.com and across our social media platforms.
This bulletin is live in the Volta region on Jubilee Radio Keta, Volta Premier and Kekali Radio in Ho, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, Pando FM in Pando, Fafa Radio in Joje, Radio Hogba in Angloga, Clenam Radio Bato, Victory FM Aflao. In the Eastern region, we're on K-Poly Radio in Kofrodia. In the Northern region, we're on Bishara Radio, Radio 123 and Radio Justice in Tamale. And in Savannah region, we're on Inkelege FM in Bole. In the Upper East region, we're live on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga and Radio Fumbese in Fumbese. In Upper West, we're live on Radio Sonmale in Wa, Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, and Bolu FM in Bolu. In the Bono East region, we're on Gaskia FM in Techiman. In Bono region, we're on Sky FM and Parrot FM in Sunyai. Central region, we're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast. And in the Western region, we're on Radio Max in Takrady.
This is the Midday News live on myjoyonline.com as well as on all our social media platforms. Let's do sports now. George, what's in store?
Hello, Emefa. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very well, George.
Yeah, let's do sports. The Ghana Football Association wants to use juvenile football as a cradle to show up quality in all national teams. Following the two friendlies, under the watch of the new Black Stars coach Siki Akono, many pundits have suggested national teams lack a plan, which easily reflects in their performances at competitions. The Black Stars lost to Mali 3-0 and won 5-1 against Qatar, but there are many doubts about the team's quality. The Ghana FA is hoping to take advantage of the new Ghana Premier League season and juvenile programs to make up the deficit. Henry Asante Chuma, spokesperson of the Ghana FA.
We are faced by, an exodus where a player plays 6 months, he scores 7 goals, and he's on his way out of the country. The best you can do is to strengthen the youth system. We check the statistics. Over 5,000 footballers depart Brazil every year, but they still have talent to play in their league. because their youth system is strong. So the vision of this football association is to make sure that we build a strong foundation at the youth level. The reason we are introducing a juvenile national championship. If you have a very sound juvenile system in place, Kotoko can lose 15 and equally replace them with top quality materials. So we have a plan that within the next 4 years, we will have a pool of talents who will have the quality.
So that's Henry Asante-Chu, Emefa. Just before I leave you, there's a basketball team in Ghana who are unbeaten in 5 years. From 2015 till now, they haven't lost a game. The University of Ghana basketball team. There's a documentary on Friday on the Joy News channel on Multi TV at 4:30. Do join us for that. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, George. And we head back into the election headquarters, and the opposition NDC has been criticized and reported attacks on an NBSSI office in the northern region by a group affiliated to the governing NPP over claims that loans have been given to known NDC businessmen. Police are yet to arrest anyone in connection with the incident. The opposition party has been speaking about this at a news conference in Accra. He listened to Sami Jemfi, the National Communications Officer.
You recall that when COVID struck and we went into lockdown, the Akufo-Addo government took about 600 million Ghana cedis from our oil proceeds, specifically the Ghana Stabilization Fund that the ex-well Ms. Mahama administration established. This is money that had been accumulated under the NDC Mahama government between 2013 to 2016. But for the good of the nation, they took this money, 600 million Ghana cedis, and said they were going to give it out to businesses, a stimulus package to support them because of COVID. Now we have credible information which we'll be sharing with you during our subsequent, press briefing that shows that the allocation or distribution of that stimulus package has been reduced to cheap partisanship by this government.
That's the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sami Jemfi. Now, for many people, the thought of monthly payments for 15 years to secure a mortgage may be too much to process, but experts say it is one of the best ways to own a home. Get the keys to your home even before you finish payment for it, and the upcoming Joy News Habitat Fair presents you the opportunity to own your own home without a hassle. Head of Mortgage Business at Republic Bank, Frank Opong-Yeboah, and Executive Secretary of Greater, Samuel Amegaibo, spoke about this on the Super Morning Show.
I think the circumstances matter a lot. But if you can build on your own, the problem with it is that what is your cash flow? And if you did mortgage, for me, is the best. First of all, you can have liquidity to do other things and have softer terms to pay gradually. And then with the mortgage, you can get access to the building immediately. I mean, depending on your own flow with the mortgage company about the requirements. If you meet the requirements, you can get access to the building now and enjoy it over the period. Whilst those who are doing the piecemeal have taken 20 years and beyond to build houses, and sometimes they even die before their term.
Can live in it.
So for me, if we can have a solid mortgage system, which is affordable. Unfortunately, the current interest rate on mortgage is so high that it is becoming like a monster to most people. But let's look at the other side of the coin. If we can do something to bring the interest rate down, let's do it.
Mortgage is one of the fastest way of wealth creation for individuals, because mortgage assists the individual to get what you couldn't by your level of income acquire. So it is a loan that is given to you by a financial institution. Then you get a property, you live in it, and you pay it over a period of time. And
so that's the head of mortgage business at Republic Bank, Frank Opong-Yeboah, and also the Executive Secretary of Greater, Samuel Amegaibo, speaking on the Super Morning Show. Of course, it's no secret that Ghana's housing gap keeps widening, and it's one of the key issues that will inform the decision of the ordinary voter come December 7. You have to join Evans Mensah tonight on the PM Express to make your decision easy. So is the PM Manifesto Tracker on the Joy News channel. It's at 9 p.m. and you don't want to miss it. Now, for the toy lovers out there, the iPhone 12 is finally out. It's official. After a long wait, the game-changing 6.1-inch beauty was unveiled alongside the new iPhone 12 mini, iPhone 12 Pro, and iPhone 12 Pro Max at Apple's virtual October event. We'll speak to Spikey from our technology desk shortly. But first, here are some of the features.
The vertical band is precision machined from stainless steel. The ceramic shield on the front is tougher than any smartphone glass, and tighter borders allow for even larger Super Retina XDR displays. 5G is set to change the world with radically faster speed. The hardware and software have been optimized for the best 5G experience.
And many, many, many more. Spiky, he is the host of Geek Squad. He joins us on the line. What's different about this new gadget, Spiky?
Yes, so you've got some very great, a new design. That's the most important thing. It's a new design. It's not like the previous design where you have like curved edges and stuff. Now, they're going back to the iPhone 5 and the 5S, if you remember what those look like, with a very flat side. And the new cameras, that's the big selling point over here, the cameras, that they are for pro video and pro content creators. So if you're someone who likes using your phone to shoot stuff, the new iPhone would be great for you. And, well, yeah, it's got some very good, a very upgraded processor. Now, what they're saying is that it's a 5-nanometer chip, which is the smallest in its class, and it delivers better performance, better graphics for gaming. Pretty much everything is better as with every single new iPhone that is launched.
Thank you very much, Spiky, and we are looking forward to it once it hits the market. Spiky is the host of Geek Squad. He's been giving us the new technology for the new iPhone 12. What are people saying on Twitter, though?
All right, Amanif says, stop choosing iPhone 12 over your kidneys, and Ed Esther_Gina says, so iPhone 12 doesn't have my favorite color. Let me wait when sunshine green comes and I will buy it. P.S. It was my birthday on Saturday, so somebody buy me an iPhone 12.
Mine was after yours.
And
so Monday, so you can decide on that. And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. At 1, we have business.
And inflation falls marginally to record a rate of 10.4% in September. We have the details plus more.
Thank you very much. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. After the break, we have Living Word with Pastor Menso Tabil. Do stay.